showtime.
An approaching West Coast storm system sets its eyes on the plains where we're expecting a round of severe weather as we go into your Monday and Tuesday. And then in its wake, we're expecting some below normal temperatures to move in for the second half of April. We'll have a detailed look plus a lot more coming your way next. Welcome back, everybody, to the Weather Nerds YouTube channel. I'm your host, Greg Majeski, your personal weatherman, making a difference one subscriber at a time. It looks like we're in store for some active weather again going into next week. And it looks like we're going to see some cooler temperatures moving in across the eastern third of the United States behind our next storm system as well. Now, before we get into all that, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please consider it. Please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And if you have any questions or any comments, please, as always, leave them down below. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. All right, we're going to first start off before we look at the models. We're looking at the latest climate outlook here. Just go ahead and zoom in here a little bit closer as we look at the 6 to 10 day outlook. As you can see, the blue areas there illustrating the cool air that's going to come down behind our next storm system and kind of warmer out toward the west. And it looks like that trend will continue and kind of build. In fact, out in the west, you kind of see this building area of heat out here in the west. Well, obviously, we're going to be cooler here into the east. Now, how does that translate with your precipitation outlook over that same period? All right, let's first take a look at the 6 to 10 day outlook. Again, April 18th to the 22nd. Looks like we're kind of active with the precipitation chances here across the southern tier, kind of dry out toward the west. And looks like we'll see some minor changes in this as you take a look at the 8 to 14 as that drier weather will pull in here mostly across the northeast and the Midwest as that cooler, drier air moves in. And we get a little bit wetter out here into some parts of the west. All right, we got a lot to get into for this edition. So let's go ahead and shift over and take a look at that latest European model data. So we're going to start off first by taking a look at the 500 millibar height anomalies. And when you're looking at a map like this, when you see the areas of blue, that's lowering of the heights. That's indicative of your storm systems and the column of air able to rise. You see the areas of red, that's more in line with high pressure and the heights rising. So let me get out of the way here. I want to kind of illustrate some things I want to point out to you here as we've got one exiting storm system out here across the northeast, moving out. This is our storm system out here on the west coast. That's what we're going to be watching closely to set up the active weather in the plains. There's also a little piece of energy up here across Alaska that'll be diving down south as well, as this piece of energy and this piece of energy are going to kind of hook up and kind of bring a bit of a pattern shift as we go through the next 7 days or so. So let's go ahead and watch this as that area of low pressure kind of rotates in across the west and bringing in some heavy rain, some heavy snows out on the west coast. But as it pulls out into out of the west and into the middle of the country, that's when we're going to start seeing the active weather late in the day on your Monday as this continues to pull on out, and that'll continue as well into your Tuesday. Notice that we got this piece of energy here that's diving down to the south. So these are going to kind of hook up a little bit, and that's what's going to be responsible for that cooler trend as we were seeing there on the climate outlook. Watch as these two pieces of energy kind of merge together later in the week as we go into Wednesday and Thursday, going into the 17th and 18th of April. And this will just kind of sit across the areas of the high plains and moving into the Great Lakes, kind of bringing in that colder temperatures across the eastern third of the United States. While obviously we're seeing the warmer weather out here into the west as we head into the following weekend, as we go in toward April 20th and into the 21st. So the eastern third of the United States will be seeing some cooler temperatures, while we'll see above normal temperatures, as we were showing you, they're out into the west as we wrap up this 10-day outlook here on the European model. So coming down to 850 millibars, we can see that a lot of the country, as far as looking at the temperatures at 5,000 feet, we'll be looking at temperatures fairly mild. We are still holding on to some cool air here across areas of New England, but the big bulk of the country, especially here in the middle of the country, looking pretty mild as we watch this storm system out on the west coast start to dive on in. But watch what happens here as we progress from this weekend to the following weekend, as we're going to see an abrupt change in those temperatures across the big bulk of the country. So watch that storm system move in out on the west as we're going to be tapping some of that cool air. It's going to be setting up some of the active weather here in the plains on Monday and Tuesday with this. But as this storm system in the middle of the country hooks up with that other piece of energy and along the Canadian border, that's when we'll start pulling down that colder air as we head in toward Wednesday. Notice the blues really start to pick up there as we go into Wednesday and Thursday, and this will be propagating into the eastern 2/3 of the United States, especially into next weekend as this begins to settle in on a Saturday. Look at the colder temperatures there settling in across the Midwest and down, and even getting into areas of the Southeast as we go into next Sunday, going into the 21st, in a big chunk of the country here, looking at temperatures below normal. Look at this. I mean, some areas there we'll be seeing some frost and freeze advisories getting down into the Tennessee River Valley, I believe, even for that day. And looks like this will be kind of holding on with the below normal temperatures, even going into Monday there across the high plains, into the Midwest, and into the Northeast as we go into the following week. So looking at the latest precipitation outlook here on the European, it's going to be a very wet and rainy period out here on the West Coast as this low pressure brings some pretty decent rains there across the Northern California coast, getting even down into Southern California. And of course, we'll see some higher elevation snows with this as well as this storm system begins to move inland throughout the day, Saturday and into Sunday. It looks like Sunday will be a better day, although we'll still have some residual rains and some snows there across the northern Sierra Nevada throughout the day on Sunday. So as this low pressure system begins to migrate inward, looks like we'll stay fairly quiet throughout the entire day on Monday. Now, as I go ahead and stop this right here, you notice we're not showing a whole lot of activity here on your Monday afternoon. This is about 7 o'clock. Now, when I look at the Storm Prediction Center outlook for day 3, keep in mind it goes from Monday morning until Tuesday morning, as you can see there with the graphic there. So watch as what happens here as we go into early Tuesday morning. We're going to start seeing some activity begin to break out there across Oklahoma. That is where the highest risk for severe weather will happen during the early morning hours on Tuesday. So if you're in this part of the country, obviously make sure you have your weather radios handy and your weather apps ready to go, as this active weather will get started fairly early in the day. A little atypical. You usually see that during the late afternoon hours. And then as this progresses off toward the east, that severe weather threat will also begin to shift to the east as we look at the day 4 outlook here. You see that right there. You see it kind of shifts over into areas of Missouri and stretching down into Arkansas as this area of low pressure, as you see up here across portions of Nebraska, bringing in some pretty decent rains across Iowa, Minnesota, and up across the Dakotas as well. And there's a pretty decent squall line can be forming there late in the day, pushing into portions of Illinois as this pushes off toward the east. Now, at this point, as we go into Wednesday, I'm not expecting any active weather into Wednesday as that storm system kind of loses its punch a little bit as it starts to merge its energy with that energy we were showing you there coming in out of Canada. And that's what's going to bring that pattern shift, especially as we head into Thursday. You start to bring down some of that colder air coming down. You see the blue lines. That's the 540 line starting to dip down there as we see some of that cold air start to infiltrate parts of the country. Another little disturbance is going to kind of ride along that boundary, bringing some rains there across portions of Missouri and Oklahoma. Nothing to be too concerned about here. This is just that kind of tapping some moisture as another front comes down and brings that colder air across the eastern third of the United States, across the Great Lakes. You see the lowering heights, even a little bit of snow there, possibility there across portions of Minnesota and going up to the Dakotas throughout the day on your Friday. So we're talking about the 19th there with that trailing cold front bringing some rains across the areas of the mid-Atlantic back into the southeast with some rains there. That should clear out as we head into next Saturday. And it looks like next weekend will be pretty nice across the eastern third of the United States, although still dealing with some rains and maybe some rumbles of thunder across portions of Texas. But looks like, again, with that cold air advection, it may squeeze out some of the some light showers, maybe even a little bit of snows there across portions of the Great Lakes. But looks like a pretty cold period there, especially across areas of Ohio throughout the day on your Saturday. And it looks like Sunday still looking pretty cold there with some snow flurries possible across areas of New York and getting down toward West Virginia. So it's just going to be kind of nippy with those below normal temperatures into next weekend. And it looks like no major storm systems after that once we get past this big storm system that we're expecting here for the first portion of this upcoming work week. So you folks out in California are going to get hit pretty good here for the weekend, and then we're going to watch a storm system that'll be setting off our severe weather as we go into the early morning hours on Tuesday and continuing throughout the day on Tuesday. That'll affect the plains and then shifting out into the Midwest and parts of the Southeast. All right, that's your latest update. Hey, if you like what you saw with this video, if you could do me a favor, please subscribe to the channel. Always looking for new viewers, and if you got a comment or you got any feedback, as always, please leave a comment down below. I do appreciate the feedback. All right, that's your latest outlook for now. You guys take it easy. We'll see you on the next update. I will be doing live coverage of this upcoming severe weather event as we go throughout the day on Tuesday, and if you want to be a participant, Again, please subscribe to the channel. That's it for now. You guys take it easy. We'll see you on the next edition. Until then, be good, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.